So I want to take a moment and just share some things that I'm grateful for, because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a grounded, embodied goddess that you see before you. In fact, most of my life, I felt insignificant. I felt like my voice didn't matter. I felt unseen and invisible. I just didn't feel like I mattered. I remember when I was 37 years old, I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize the woman who was looking back at me. She looked so worn out and drained, sad, unfulfilled. I didn't recognize myself as I looked in the mirror. I wasn't sure where I had gone, where my exuberance had gone, where my light had gone. I wasn't even connected to my own body. And this really scared me. And I remember my son came walking in my bedroom as I was looking in the mirror, and he says to me, "Mommy, are you okay?" And of course, in the moment, I said, "Oh, honey, it's fine. Mommy's just a little sad. It's okay." But I put him to bed and I sat there and I looked in the mirror again and I thought, oh my goodness, Mommy is not okay. Mommy is lost. I don't know where Mommy has gone. And I realized that all of my weaknesses, my challenges, my insecurities, my judgments of myself were showing up in my face. And I realized that looking in that mirror was really feeding back to me the results of years of hiding who I really was. I realized that my little 5-year-old self, this little girl that lived inside of me, had been working so hard to keep me safe. She had worked so hard to make sure that I morphed into the person that I thought other people wanted me to be. That I shut down all of those qualities in myself, like my curiosity and exuberance and my light, to be safe. When I was 5, I was molested by a female babysitter. And what this experience did is it told my little mind that who I was caused the abuse. That who I was the problem. My curiosity, my exuberance, my own body were the things that caused this abuse. That's the message that my little brain came up with in that moment to make sense of what was going on. And so she spent literally decades trying to protect me so that I would feel okay. It was like there was this battle going on inside of me my whole life between this little 5-year-old girl who just wanted to make sure that everything was okay and this rebel who wanted to shout from the rooftops the truth, who wanted people to know what was going on. But this little girl was stronger and she would constantly suppress this rebel part of me. I want to ask you if you have ever had a battle going on inside of you that kept you from moving forward in your life. Today, I am an embodied woman. Today, I accept my flaws and I love every single part of me. I have a husband that treats me like the queen that I am. I own my badassery, my intelligence, my wisdom. I have daily feminine practices that I use to fill my cup, to make sure that I'm coming from a place of overflow and abundance. I serve those that I am meant to serve. And I've stepped into leadership despite how much it scares the shit out of me. And my inner 5-year-old is happy as a clam because she knows that it is safe to shine in the spotlight. My name is Michelle Marie, and I help entrepreneurs and leaders to increase their confidence and effectiveness in standing in the spotlight so they can share the message that they were meant to share with the world. I support them to build the feminine practices and emotional and psychological resilience to sustain them in a life of leadership so that they can have work and life balance, ease, and show up boldly, authentically, and unapologetically as their real self. So today, I'm going to be talking about some ways that feminine leaders can fill their cups so they can refuel, energize, and show up fully. And I'll be sharing about 2 components that I like to focus on out of the 6 that I usually use as I guide people through this process. So the first one is that your unique and original business voice lies in everything that they ever told you was a weakness, or everything that you ever believed was a weakness. And the second key is that embodiment is not only the key to magnetizing your hell yes client, not just a client, but your raving fan hell yes client, is also the key to sustaining that life and work balance. So I'd love for you to take a moment to think about the people that you admire, the speakers that you admire, the thought leaders that you admire. Some of the ones that I admire are Oprah, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Brene Brown, Gabor Mate, Glennon Doyle. But what is it about them that makes them stand out above all of the others that are doing what they're doing? What makes them so special? They're vulnerable, they're original, and they are embodied. Now I can hear the little voice rattling around in your head, right? Oh, but they had a leg up, or they had their life all together, or they had some magical opportunity, or they were just born these charismatic leaders. But that is actually false. Les Brown was told in 4th grade that he would never make it through school, that he was not smart enough. And Glennon Doyle was an addict and bulimic, and her life was falling apart all around her. And yet, these people inspire us. They didn't have their lives all together. They actually chose to use their pain to inspire others and to inspire them to love themselves and to recognize the possibilities that are available to them despite what might have happened to them in their lives. And that everybody has the potential to be great. They make you feel because they feel as they are sharing. They share their mistakes with us, they laugh and cry with us, they bring us into their worlds, and we absolutely love them for it. We can see that they have things in common. They're famous, they make money, but really what they have in common is that they are comfortable in their own skin. They are real and vulnerable, authentic, they're present and engaged with their audience, and they act from a place of deep service. They tell the truth, even though it might be hard to hear. They inspire us with the ways that they have moved through their own pain to become the incredibly magnetic leaders that they are. I want that for you, and I know that it's possible for you. These things can be learned. You are not born a charismatic leader. You become a charismatic leader. So core concept number 1, your unique, original business voice lies in everything that they ever told you was a weakness. I was told most of my life that I was too loud, too intense, too opinionated, too bossy, too in my body, too honest. Can anybody relate to any of those? Many of us have been told that we are too much. Well, guess what? Those are the very things that are at the core of my brand in my business. But I have chosen to reframe those. I am bold. I am transparent and vulnerable. I am an embodied woman. I am someone who shares my knowledge and expertise with the world in service. I am bold, authentic, and unapologetic. How about them apples? I have a client, Diane. She met with me after I had spoken at an event, and she said that she wanted to work on finding some of those lost parts inside of herself, those wounded parts that she knew were creating a barrier to her stepping into her full power in her business. And we did some work together. We did some exercises to help her find those parts, learn to embody and embrace those parts, integrate them and bring them back in, to learn to love even the most shameful parts of who she is. And she said that she began to feel a sense of deep integration. She said that in her business, she had times when she was able to be confident, right? And she was able to speak her truth and stand up for herself in her business. But it was only with people that she felt comfortable with, and only with people that, and it wasn't, consistent. And so when I talked to her the other day, I asked her, what is it that you've really gotten from our work together? And she said, well, the first thing I've gotten is I actually don't give a shit anymore about whether somebody doesn't like me or not. And what she discovered was that she always had felt like she had to change who she was to kind of morph with each client and give them exactly what they wanted, and censor herself with some clients and be a little bolder with other clients. And she realized that she was unwilling to be somebody that she is not, that she wanted to weed out clients through letting her own freak flag fly, and that's what she teaches other people to do. She shared that the work that we did helped her bypass her own resistance and go deeper than she had ever gone before. When I work with folks, yeah, we do deep work, but it doesn't always have to be hard. Sometimes it's actually really fun. We did 3 individual sessions and 2 embodiment sessions in order to get those kinds of results. It's so important to do the work to get to know yourself, what you stand for, but also what you stand against, to take the risk of saying it boldly and loudly and proudly, to embrace polarizing your audience so that people that don't resonate with you just go away. And the people who do resonate with you stick around for a long time. They become your hell yes clients. So going deep and really getting to know yourself, warts and all, does not have to be scary. The result is freedom. So core concept number 2, embodiment is not only the key to magnetizing your hell yes client, it is the key to sustaining your leadership and life-work balance. So what is embodiment? And how is that different from physicality? So many of us who learn to be speakers or are actors, we learn about physicality, right? Make eye contact, use your hands, use your body as you speak. But embodiment is actually the ability to be fully in your body right here, right now. So you're not thinking about the future and you're not thinking about the past. You're actually experiencing this moment and this moment only. And when you're connected to your body, you're able to actually feel what wants to be said next, right? You actually get to feel the energetic exchange between you and the other person, because you stay here and you are connected in your own body. So it's the bridge between the psyche and the body. It allows us to feel our emotions while we stay present in the here and now. It allows us to not get rocked off of our center, because we are really listening to what our body is telling us. We hear its whispers, including those little whispers that many of us as women ignore, that tell us something feels wrong, something feels off. And it allows us to go back in and check in. so that we can find the next course of action. According to Andrea Menard, who is an expert in feminine leadership, in her blog post, What is Feminine Leadership? She states that feminine leaders have emotional intelligence. They use their skills in emotional expression, communication, and implementation to raise and diffuse any situation. Emotional intelligence is quickly becoming twice as important than cognitive abilities in terms of distinguishing competencies. And this is where trailblazing feminine leaders will lead the pack and stand out. We have to break the myth that vulnerability equals weakness, or that it's attention getting, or that vulnerability means that you have a target on your back. It's important to learn emotional regulation skills so that we can stay grounded and present when we're in a position of leadership. And if you teach or speak or lead or parent, you are a leader. It's just true. And in order for us to stay in that grounded and present position, we have to learn how to stay in our bodies. What we tend to do is we fly up into our heads and we get all intellectual, and then a person can't feel us, or we get overwhelmed and flooded by our emotions, and then we're kind of missing the point, right? Like we go off on a tangent and we freak out, or we bring up the past and we're not right here. And when you are a leader, you are gonna get stuff thrown at you. You're going to have people project upon you. You're going to have people tell you that you're full of crap. They're going to tell you you don't know what you're talking about. And as women, we need to be able to withstand the onslaught that might come when we stand up for what we really believe. If we're going to change paradigms, ladies, we have to be strong. And we need the resilient tools in order to be able to stand in our leadership as unshakable leaders. Vulnerability is an interesting subject because we often think of vulnerability, the definition actually in the dictionary is that you are at risk. But I want to challenge that and give you an example of a situation or in a movie, right, that totally highlights this. So here's the reality. The more you know yourself and your triggers, the more that you are aware of the things that throw you off center, the more you are able to be honest and open about your mistakes and the things that you've done that you are not proud of. You no longer can have those things used against you. So there's this great scene in the movie 8 Mile where Eminem, he's this white rapper, right? And he's all nervous and he comes into his first rap battle and, you know, he knows that the guy across from him, because this is what you do in rap battles, is going to tear him apart, right? He's going to bring up all of his shameful stuff. So what does he do? In his rap, to start off, he basically names all of those things. He tells everybody that he's trailer trash. He tells everybody that his mom's a drunk. He says all of the things that he thinks this guy is going to use against him. And guess what happens? The other guy, he's got nothing. There is no ammunition, nothing that can be thrown against him. But in order to do that, in order to deflect that, we've got to get real. We've got to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And that includes our emotions. To be able to touch into how we feel in any given moment while we're speaking and be okay with that. Many women have gotten the message that that indicates weakness or that somehow they're not going to show up as being competent if they have tears in their eyes. And I'm calling BS on that. Many people are not embodied. They're talking and we're hearing them, but we're not feeling them. Embodiment is the key to staying present and letting people feel you. Embodiment is also kind of rehearsal, right? So you can change years of bad habits because we lock those bad habits into our bodies, right? There's a lot of research that even if you're a visual or auditory learner, when you do something in your body, when you do an embodied rehearsal of something, you lock that knowledge in 10 times deeper. And your retention rates are higher. So something that's interesting about embodiment is the body is where we carry trauma, right? We know that in trauma work, we want to work with the body because that's where much of the trauma is stored, right? And one of the key ways to heal from trauma is actually to be able to develop this observer mind, right? Where you're able to just slightly be back from your experience, kind of witnessing your own experience and stating what's happening factually. And I'm going to go into that in just a minute. You can change years of training through embodiment. And you can practice feeling confident, right? You can stand in front of the mirror and like, ooh, does this feel confident? Like, how does my body need to be in order for me to be confident, right? Does this look confident? You know, you can practice responding to somebody's angry tirade at you and staying in your body so that you're not flying out of your body or becoming reactive. You can practice all kinds of things through your imagination and your body at the same time. That is that bridge, right, between the psyche and the body. So to have magnetism on stage, you have to work through your emotional attachment to playing it small. You have to practice speaking in ways that you never would have imagined in order to break your training and conditioning, both physically and emotionally. Many of us as speakers get trained basically to bump it up like 10 times louder and bigger than we ever thought we could. And for most people, that's normal, right? Like most people are really, really small when they speak. And so you have to push your own edges. You don't know what's possible until you have pushed those edges. And part of what I help people do is push those edges of what they think is possible, how it's possible to show up, and break that conditioning. Because once your body feels it, you can always come back to it. You can always come back to it. So you want to be able to stand firmly in your body and feel at the same time. It's also important to practice improvisational speaking, speaking off the cuff, and just trusting that rather than thinking it, you are allowing it to move from your body and out your throat, divinely guided by your own body wisdom, by the divine, and just becoming a channel for what it is that you have to say. Improvisation is such a powerful tool, and I know it's a scary tool, but it's a super powerful tool. So I want to ask you, what stories and judgments and conditioning do you have to work through so that you can become a magnetic leader? So I'd love to share with you some practices to get out of your head and back into the wisdom of your body so that you can refuel. And I love to use the metaphor of a fountain when I talk about self-care. So the bottom of your fountain has to be filled with water. If your fountain doesn't have water in it, guess what? It doesn't work, right? All it does is blow out some dust and some leaves. Nothing happens, right? So we have to be focused on consistently and constantly filling that bottom layer of our fountain so that we have enough to be giving from a place of overflow. So I want to ask you right now, what is in your fountain? What are the daily practices and skills that you do in order to fill that gorgeous fountain so that you are giving from a place of overflow? I'm going to be giving you a self-diagnostic chakra guide in the free gifts that I have to offer you. And what I love about this is it's actually something that I created for myself because I recognize that sometimes, I was just feeling stuck. And I love working with the chakras, and I know a lot about the chakras, but when I'm upset, when any of us are upset, really, you can't actually use your thinking brain. Like you can't come up with this stuff, right? Because you're upset. And so I created this guide for myself to think about like, oh, I'm just feeling really like not nourishing myself, and I feel really spacey and ungrounded, and I'm having difficulties like feeling like I really belong. Oh, that's my root chakra. So then I go to my little guide and I put on something red because that's the root chakra. And I do some of the mantras and practices. They're super simple. Like anybody can do these. And I get myself back on track. And what I love about the self-diagnosis piece is you literally can look at the symptoms and figure out where you're stuck and then rebalance yourself so that that energy is flowing again and you can be present. I do a lot of work with meditations, but here's the interesting thing about meditations. Many of us learn them and they're kind of monastic. So it's, you know, sitting and being with the breath and taking your thoughts and removing them. But one of the things that's interesting about women is we love to move our bodies. We are embodied people. We love to dance, right? We love Zumba. We love all of these things that get us into our body. So I believe that moving meditations are really, really powerful for women. And it doesn't have to be much. It literally can be putting on some music and just like letting your body do whatever it wants to do. You might want to like shake, you might want to, you know, shake things off in your body. You might want to get small and really tiny. You might want to like feel the pressure of the weight of whatever's going on for you and like exaggerate it and then break through it. So moving meditations are super empowering and they get us back into the wisdom of our body. Visualizations can be mental rehearsals. We've talked about that a little bit. It's a super powerful tool. I teach people to do vulnerable storytelling. So really practicing that muscle of sharing something that is emotional, but not letting yourself get overwhelmed by it, right? Sharing a story that you've had some time to work through and think about so that you can practice finding those stories that are really compelling, that can bring your audience into you. And I like to put my hand on my heart when I speak about something that's really hard or really important to me. You'll notice I put my hands on my body a lot. And the reason that I do that is because for much of my life, I was not in my body. And so it's just a reminder, a gentle reminder to come back home. My husband knows when we're about to get into an argument and I have my hands on my body, that shit's about to get real. And he knows that I'm going to get vulnerable and he gets himself ready because he knows when I do that, I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to blame. I'm going to come from what I'm feeling and experiencing. And it's such an empowering place to be. Pleasure. Pleasure is everything. The more pleasure we have to fill in that bottom bowl, the more effortless our lives become. I literally have this little jar here that I created for myself with all kinds of pleasurable activities. And I start my day by pulling one. If I feel low energy, I will pull one. I make sure that I've got as many of them as possible so that I can bypass my brain and get back into my body. Dancing for pleasure, right? I do hip rolls while I brush my teeth. And the reason for that is because as we open up that sacral area, that's where our creative energy lies, right? Moving in a sensual way is not just for the bedroom. Moving in a sensual way actually wakens up our vitality and helps us become magnetic. Beautifying your space, pulling cards, all of those kinds of things are great practices. So we've talked about the importance of going deep to find that unique and original business voice that is yours and yours alone, so you can call your people to you, kind of like shining a light like Batman, right? And calling your folks to you. And we talked about the necessity of embodiment to help you stay present and engaged in the moment, emotionally available, allowing your body to lead rather than your brain, so you can magnetize your people and sustain your fountain so that it's overflowing. And what I would love for you to do right now is to just close your eyes. We're just going to take a moment. And imagine waking up in the morning and realizing that the shackles of shame and doubt no longer have a hold on you. In your mind's eye, look down to where those shackles are now laying and watch them disappear or burn in the fire of divine light. And imagine yourself celebrating by doing a moving meditation or sitting with your journal and some tea or getting your chakra guide out to notice where you might have some blocks and use these practices to reground and balance. Imagine starting your day from a balanced, grounded, embodied place. And imagine beginning your day with a sense of purpose. Perhaps you read your business mission statement or you set a prayer or intention for the day. And imagine taking a break scrolling through Facebook or Instagram without experiencing any envy or comparisonitis with those that you feel are further along than you are. Instead, you laugh, you feel a sense of possibility and excitement about what you get to create next. And then let yourself have some free writing time to see what pops up. That is the best thing to do. It's not unproductive. It's actually more productive to give yourself the space to be in your creative mind. And imagine experiencing a giddy excitement and confidence as you post or do a Facebook Live that is totally polarizing. A post you never would have imagined doing before, but that you know is going to weed out the clients you don't want and bring to you the ones that you do want. And imagine picking up your phone or going on a Zoom call to contact a prospective client, and notice how good it feels to embody confidence, trust, deep trust that what you are sharing with them is important and valuable, and how excited you feel at the prospect of them achieving the results of what you have to offer or teach them, and how easy it is to share from your heart, maybe even making a mistake and laughing with them about it. And imagine seeing them tear up or put their hand on their heart or say the magic words, "How can I work with you?" Imagine the freedom of being unattached to the outcomes, because even the conversation itself was in service to them. And you leave feeling fully aligned, fully expressed, deeply connected, and ignited. Imagine the opportunity of taking the stage, boldly and bravely sharing your message with your audience, feeling the energetic exchange feeding you as you become even more grounded and present and unshakable with each word, and knowing that your message is touching the hearts of those who are ready to hear it. Imagine looking in the mirror and smiling at the person who is staring back at you, knowing that you are in full alignment with your gifts and your unique essence. And take a moment and repeat the last 2 lines of the Ignite Your Visibility mantra that you will also get a link to. Take a breath and repeat after me. I am safe in the spotlight. I am ready to be seen. I am safe in the spotlight. I am ready to be seen. I am safe in the spotlight. I am ready to be seen. And then go ahead and open your eyes and just notice how you feel. If you would like the rest of that mantra, there will be a link where you can find it, put it up on your wall, and repeat it for 21 days to lock it in and feel more confident in shining your light. Marianne Williamson said that our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. And I want to encourage you to become the light. Reclaim the parts that help you show up fully in all your imperfect perfection, so that your message can land the people who people who really need to hear it. So I've run out of time. I want to introduce you to a program that I am creating called the Visibility Breakthrough Launchpad. And it's a combination of a coaching and masterminding group for feminine leaders. And this program will address many of the things that I've spoken about today: vulnerability, originality, igniting your feminine superpowers of self-care, clarity of your message, emotional and embodied expression, and showing up fully in service. There will be a link to sign up for a free consultation to explore that if it's a good fit for you. And there will also be a link for you to sign up for a discovery session or a visibility breakthrough session if you would like to get a sense of some of the work that I do. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for listening, and please go out and shine your light. Thank you.